Yeah, thank you so much, Ashish. First of all, I would like to congratulate Ashish and Nilesh for the wonderful work that they have been doing in this field. And thanks to Ashish for this invitation. I'll be talking on immunogenic reaction, how to differentiate infections from non-infectious inflammation. Overall, I would say this is a broadly well-known topic, but still I'll go through the various features which can be seen in inflammation. You can have vitritis, iritis, hypopion or retinal hemorrhages or vasculitis, and these could be non-infective also, and it becomes very crucial to differentiate it from endophthalmitis. So these are the different types of inflammation which one can see. As you can see on the bottom right, you sometimes there may be frank endophthalmitis and you should not be delaying treatment with antibiotics in these cases, whereas in the others you may want to give oral or topical steroids and they can manage them very easily. But just to go back, inflammation after biologics or specifically intravitreal injections is not new. It has, for at least in India, we have known or dealt with this episode in 2016 when there was a ban on Avastin by DCGI, and then later on it was reversed. But it could be severe inflammation due to various factors that Nilesh had pointed out. It could be because of the drug itself, it could be because of various other solvents, pH stabilizers, or it could be a frank contamination due to spurious drugs, as was in this case. Now, spurious Avastin is not unknown. It has been seen in China in 2010. It was there in the US too. It's been seen in Turkey. So in China, there were more than 100 patients in 2010 who had non-infectious reaction due to counterfeit Avastin. And it's you need to be careful whenever there are higher incidents. There usually the societies or organizations raise an alert, and we need to be cognizant of those before we take a call whether it's an inflammatory reaction or whether it's uh, an infectious pathology. Even Razumab from Intas, which is ranibizumab biosimilar, in their reenact studies, they did not find any adverse reaction, as you can see here. No patient had any evidence of anterior chamber or vitreous inflammation, but it can vary from batch to batch. So what you have in the trial one, it's a small sample size, the batch will be different, but then your manufacturing practices may not be always streamlined. So another batch may produce some inflammation. So we had a situation where we had to issue alert for adverse reactions after Razumab. And now recently in brolucizumab, the Hawk and Harrier trials had shown some of the reactions, but there were no serious reaction of CRO or even vitritis noted in the Hawk trial. But in the post-hoc analysis, once this was came up after the post-marketing surveillance, the safety review committee of ASRS looked at all the data and found the incidence of intraocular inflammation to be 4.6%, which is much higher than what was actually reported in the original trial of Hawk and Harrier. So now in the Merlin study, and there were other studies, Raven and Raptor, which have been discontinued, the intraocular inflammation was almost double the rate of inflammation in the control arm of aflibercept. As you can see here on the top, brolucizumab 6 milligram at 9.3% inflammation compared to aflibercept, which had 4.5% inflammation. And CRAO is something which is seen probably only with brolucizumab. So these are the important things which we should be aware of, and a decision has been made. Basically, Q4-week administration has been terminated for brolucizumab. It's not advised to give Paginax or Beovu every 4 weeks. Now, coming back to these inflammatory signs versus infectious signs, in inflammation, generally you don't have lid edema, there is no chemosis or discharge. Hypopion may or may not be present, but in general, if there is hypopion, you must actually rule out infection in such cases. Fibrin and AC also, it may point to an early intervention in terms of infectious etiology. B-scan probably may not be that effective in ruling out infectious versus non-infectious etiology. This is courtesy the American Academy of Ophthalmology, Journal of Ophthalmology from Baumal et al. You see this occlusive vasculitis, there are skip lesions, there can be Kyrillis arteritis, there can be occlusion causing infarcts of the retina. And these patients can have severe loss of vision, and it can be in a skip format. Then you have this frank endophthalmitis patient presenting with severe hypopyon, exudation, fibrin, and ultrasound can also show a lot of exudates in infectious endophthalmitis. But again, as I said, ultrasound cannot rule out infection. You still have to go by the clinical signs. This was one of my patients, one of the earliest patients which I had managed with Peginax or brolucizumab. This is day 1 after the injection, which is extremely uncommon to see this kind of severe immunogenic inflammation. As Nilesh pointed out, and Ashish probably will also elaborate on this, most of the inflammatory events in brolucizumab happen after the second or third week, and also after the second or third dose of brolucizumab. But this patient had presented on the first day, and it was the first injection of brolucizumab in this patient. But this patient had multiple other anti-VEGF injections before this, and this patient also had hypopyon. But this patient, when we did the vitreous lavage and the vitreous tap and intravitreal antibiotics, there was no growth on microbiology. PCR was negative, gram stain was negative, and this patient improved within 3 days. The fundus cleared on topical and steroids. So inflammation can be really, really difficult to manage in some of these cases. In terms of management, what I follow is if there is mild inflammation and these are known drugs which can cause inflammation, I use frequent topical steroids for a few days and ask them to come back. If it's a severe inflammation, definitely if it is with known drugs like razumab or brolucizumab or even aflibercept, you give frequent topical oral steroids, call them the next day. If there is no improvement, you do a vitreous tab and antibiotics or a vitrectomy depending on the severity. And if there is severe inflammation with lid edema, don't take any chances. Do an immediate vitrectomy with antibiotics. So in conclusion, there should be high suspicion of inflammation. You should be aware of the drugs. Slit lamp evaluation at every visit is mandatory. Even pre-injection, look at the AC and vitreous cells, which retina specialists do not tend to do. Immediate versus delayed, in the sense delayed, it could be inflammation, but my case had immediate inflammation also. But it's better to rule out infection in severe cases of inflammation and take immediate action. Thank you for your kind attention.